All right, so first I'm going to open this up. A fabric inside, you see this, with a bit of a rain flap for the back of your neck, like that. This just fastens in, slides in through there, and then this snaps over to the side. Hello, welcome to WayPoint Survival. Today, we're going to talk about 100-year-old rain gear that still works. Stay tuned. So we've got our backpack on and give you a little bit of an idea of what that looks like. Also our early trekking pole. I've got a video on how to make that. But I've got several items stuffed in here to show you different ways that you can use to stay dry. And these are multi-use items. And they're very durable. They last a very long time, and it's not something you're going to have to just replace every little whip stitch. All right, let's get to that right now. All right, well, we're down here at the creek, and the sky is overcast. It's been raining a lot off and on, and of course it is spring, so we expect that. But I really want to show you what I'm carrying in this pack and give you a good idea of some things that you can do, some older things as well as some newer things that work really well to keep you dry when you're out trekking and camping. All right, so first I'm going to open this up and that flat back. Now this we're going to save for the last. This is really special and I think you're really going to like what's in here. So make sure you stay tuned to the end because this is a pretty cool setup. So the first couple of items that we have in here, we have some of these hats like this. I have two of them. This one is a miner made in Canada by Black Diamond, and this is made by Kaufman, also Canadian, Black Diamond. And these are really unique, and they've got a fabric inside, you see this, with a bit of a rain flap for the back of your neck. And this one actually still has this original sticker on it from where it was sold. So this one was brand new. I found this one on eBay. And the rubber is nice and solid on that. This one is a little bit older and it has a lot more cracks in it. Perhaps you can see right in here where the rubber is no longer as good as it used to be. Someone has put some holes in here and a bit of cord so that it could be hung up to dry, or perhaps in a boat or something. And these are known as a sou'wester, all right? Now, I like the way this one fastens a little bit better than the newer one. It has a chin strap that comes across and a button. So it's really easy to do, and you can just button this on there. It's actually easier to do it when it's under your chin. All right, so that's buttoned, and then that can keep the wind from blowing the hat off, because again, boatmen, fishermen, a lot of people wore these. Rubber has been around for a long time. Began to be used popularly in the 1820s, and then after Charles Goodyear figured out the vulcanization process in the late 1830s, they became immensely popular. Now this one is the newer one, and as I said, the rubber is completely intact, so you don't have to worry about it leaking on you. But this one just has some chin straps, so it's a little more difficult because you have to bring it up under here and tie it like you would your shoe. So you have to tie a bow on it. And again, it's not impossible, but I definitely think I like the button idea a lot better. But it's a lot worse condition than this one. But it can be done. What's nice about these is you can see it comes back over the collar, right? So I don't have to worry about rain going down my collar. It also has this right here in the front where it's bent around. So when the rain comes down, it's going to hit this and it's going to be shunted down the sides where it's going to run down instead of dripping to my face. So these hats are very well thought out. They've been around for a couple of 100 years. You can get them made out of wax canvas and various things. But if you can find some of these older fully rubber ones, the rubber coated fabric, you're going to be a lot happier. And these are vintage, they are correct. It looks right for the time period if you're doing anything in reenacting from the middle 1800s on up until the early 1900s. So perfect. All right, the next one that I want to show you is this right here. And this is what Horace Kephart recommended. He said it was the only piece of multi-use gear that he actually liked. And what it is, it's a British ground sheet. So it's pretty good size. You can see, back up a little bit here. So this is designed to lay on. It's something that you would use underneath your sleeping sack, your wool, a blanket, or whatever it was. But essentially what it is, there are some holes here. And in these holes are just a couple of cords, okay? Just simple cords. And how they stay in is I've got them knotted on both sides. Just a simple overhand knot. And how you use this, you just put this over top your shoulders, like so. And then you pull it together and you tie it on. So essentially, it's a rain cape. And it works pretty good. I've used this in the rain, and down when I was doing North Carolina and doing my Camp Like Kephart series. And I like the way this is because it works pretty good. It breathes well. Now, the only real problem, as you can see, is pretty short. It just comes down a little bit below my waist. Get a good look at it there. It is completely waterproof, and you can lay on it at night because it does have the holes. It's got holes all around it, and this is made in the UK. But because it has these holes in it and it's all the way around the edge, you can actually put this up as a tarp. So you get like a good rain cover, sort of almost a small tent. It would not be enough for a shelter. It's really not that big, but for something temporary that you could hunch up under, it would do the job. And so, you know, Horace Kephart was a smaller guy. The bigger you are, the less it's going to cover. So do keep that in mind. The next type of rain gear that I brought along to show you is this right here. Now, this goes back to the Civil War. And again, once they figured out how to put rubber on canvas, this became pretty popular and it was used a lot. This was also used as a ground sheet. But what they did is they put a slit in the middle. See that? For your head to go through. Now, it does overlap. So in the middle here, where this opening is, it's kind of sealed up. Now, if you were laying on the ground and it was raining a lot, and you had water standing or pooling or anything like that, it's going to come right up through this hole. But again, for a multi-use piece of gear, it works pretty well. Now, if you get one of these from a Civil War sutler, do be aware that this rubberized stuff is kind of sticky and it will stick together. So you kind of have to pull it apart, and that's all right. But it works pretty much, again, like the other one did. All right, so you can kind of see what this looks like. Again, it's not real long, and if you walk in the rain very much, you're going to get your legs and pants wet. But that's just one of the things you have to do. And it does come down over the arms pretty good, but if you put your arms out much to the side, they're going to get wet. But you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. And yeah, I think this does pretty well for what it is. Now, word of advice, when you fold this one back up, put the rubber side together first. And I know it's going to stick together, but if you do it this way first, all of your other folds will be canvas to canvas, and it's going to stick a lot less if you do it like that. And then you'll just have the one big part to mess with, and you can kind of pull it apart gently. But this is nice because just like the other one I just showed you, it packs up really small. You can roll this up and you know, put this in almost anything. It really doesn't take up a whole lot of room, so pretty handy idea. The next item that I have in my pack is this right here. Now, this is an M1917 dismounted raincoat. Now, the mounted raincoat has a split in the back for riding a horse, but this is for infantry or dismounted soldiers. And this is probably the best coverage of all of them. You can get this from What Price Glory. Jerry Lee has some great deals there, and I'll try to remember and put a link to it down in the description box. But this is a complete coat, and I'll go ahead and put it on. And they're made pretty large because they're designed to fit over top of a uniform. So if you do order these, make sure that you don't get one that's too big. But this is a fantastic coat. Now, one of the things about it that makes it so nice is the way it fastens. So it comes across here, and there are some metal hooks. But what you do is there's a double flap. So this flap goes inside here, this goes over the top, and then there's a bit of a thing here that just kind of goes inside of it and clips down. It's very clever the way this works. You want to make sure you have these two flaps tucked in. So there is a little metal tab. See, it's like a little slot there, and you've got this thing. And once you put this inside of that flap, like that, this just fastens in, slides in through there, and then this snaps over to the side. And it holds really securely, so I mean that's pretty impressive. As you can see, it has a very generous collar, and there's a button up here at the top, so you can literally put all this together and button this like so, and you're pretty well protected. Very generous sleeves. There are some snaps, so you can snap these together like this around your wrist. You can leave them loose for airflow, or you keep it like that. All right, as you can see, it's very long. Goes way down below my knees, about halfway down my calves. So this is a wonderful raincoat, and this is going to give you the best protection and coverage when you're out trekking around. With the high collar and with your sou'wester on, this is going to keep you really dry. And I think this is probably the best layout. Now do remember that this stuff isn't breathable, but it is very durable. So if you're wearing this much gear, it better be a cold, wet rain, and you really don't want to move around a whole lot because you're going to sweat a lot on the inside. It's going to hold in a lot of your perspiration. But again, these things are amazingly durable, and they're going to last a really, really long time. So you can kind of get an idea. Just great coverage all the way around. Now, most of the shoes back in the day were leather, and they may have had a complete leather sole, perhaps a rubber heel. Again, rubber heels were ubiquitous, they were used a lot. But being a leather shoe like this, they are susceptible to bacteria on the ground. So as you're walking through the dirt and the mud, it'll actually eat at this, and leather soaks up water. So you really need to keep this treated. Now, people would use something called dubbin, and you can look up on the internet. There's different ways to make homemade dubbin, but you can also buy some commercial stuff. Hubbard Shoe Grease has been around for a really long time, and it's very easy to put on. And you want to use like an old toothbrush or something like that, or an old rag. The reason a toothbrush works well, especially around here, around the outer part of the sole where the leather meets the stitching, you want to use this generously. And then what I like to do is I'll take this and put this on a flat tray and put this in the oven at the house, and I'll let this warm up for maybe half an hour at about 175 degrees, something like that. So not enough to cook it, but enough to get it really warm and let everything soak in good. So how this works, you just get in here with an old toothbrush, get a little bit of this shoe grease, sit that down, and then you just get in here and you want to thoroughly coat everything that's in here. Now it is going to slightly change the color, all right? As you can see here, it's going to darken it. And with this kind of boot, you want to make sure you get all the stitching, get everything in there, get that thoroughly coated, and make sure you do the bottom. See how that is soaking that up? That's really thirsty. This old leather really needs to be treated, and this will help you as you walk out and you do things. This will help to keep your feet dry. But that's not the only thing that they did. All right, so here's what it looks like. This one I just treated, and this one has not yet been treated. So you can definitely see a difference. Now, I want you to notice that when you do this, make sure and take the shoestrings out. I didn't because I was doing this for the camera, but you want to take the shoestrings out and make sure you get the whole tongue waterproofed as well. So when you go through tall grass, it doesn't soak through the tongue. But also remember that these heels are stacked leather. The only rubber on the whole shoe is just this very bottom part here of the heel. The rest of this is stacked leather. So all of this needs to be coated and treated. All right? And if you're curious, these are Wolverine 1,000 mile shoes. And the hobos often talked about having 1,000-mile shoes because you could walk a long ways in them. Now here's another little tip for you. Make sure and bring some clothespins with you. And these are vintage, correct? Two different types. This one is flat, this one is all rounded, but either one of these will work just fine. And if you are out in the rain, you're going to need a way to stretch a line and hang stuff up after the storm, drip dry your rain gear and things like that. So these right here will work perfectly for that, and they will look good. Plus they're really lightweight, and with the right size cord, I think they hold a little bit better than the clothespins with the springs on it that we use in modern times. Now, if you really want to keep your feet dry, more than just a light rain or walking through some damp grass, you are going to need some rubber galoshes. Now, believe it or not, rubber galoshes became popular. People started wearing them in the 1820s. But because they didn't have the vulcanization process figured out yet, they would often melt in hot weather and crack and fall apart or get water in them in cold weather. But by the late 1830s, Charles Goodyear had figured out the vulcanization process, and so these became immensely popular. As a matter of fact, in the 1920s, wearing galoshes open, not strapped together, they had all kinds of boots and shoes. These are just a lower for like a dress shoe type thing, or for lower boots. But they would wear them all over the place. It actually became a fashion statement, like I said, in the 1920s. But you would have these, and these are phenomenal for keeping your feet truly dry when you're out walking in the backcountry. Now, if you're going to use these, I think these are easier to put on when the shoes are not on your feet. You could put them on and then try to slip them on, it just depends. But you want these to be pretty close to the same size as the shoe that you're wearing. And so I think it's just as easy to do it this way, to put them on with the shoes off. And of course your mileage may vary. But once you get that started over the top, you just pull that in and get that front nice and tight over the toe like this. And then it's a pretty simple matter to stretch these over the back. When you get them on properly, this is what they're going to look like. Nice and tight, and just like a second skin on top of your boots. Again, very period correct, and will definitely help keep your feet dry. Obviously, you don't want to go in water over the top, but for just walking around in heavy dew or a light rain with an outfit like this, you'd be good to go. This is perfect. All right, and now the one that you've been waiting for. So I've got it all rolled up here and just tied with a simple knot. And this is just some paracord. Now this is not what you would see used back in the day, all right? This is what I use now when I'm not doing vintage camping. So first of all, as we unroll this, see some stuff start to pop out here. All right, the first thing that you see is I have a pair of Gore-Tex pants. I'm gonna put this down. All right, so these are Gore-Tex overpants, and you wanna get the large size. Again, you're gonna wear it over top of yourself, over your belt. But these are super waterproof. They work well. The second thing that I carry wrapped up is this. Now this is an Outdoor Research, OR, and this is called the Seattle Sombrero. So Seattle Sombrero, it is longer in the back, so it is similar to this. It does have a lining, so kind of keeps your head drier that way, and it has a nice pull cord here, so you can tighten it up under your chin, and then the Velcro, if the rain quits, you don't need that, you just want to wear it sort of ranger style, and that works pretty well too. But I carry this with me. Matter of fact, I have two sets of these. Now the poncho is rather large, and this is a German surplus military poncho. It has a great hood, and so you don't really need this with that hat. So I usually just roll the hat up and tuck it down in the back of my collar. But this is really big. So you can get an idea, this is folded in half. So you can see how large that is. It's great. And the way that this is made, in particular, it has large grommets and snaps, so you can snap it up and down the side. But you can also set this up as a tarp shelter, and it's big enough to sleep under. You can bivouac with this thing. So again, if I've got this, then I'm pretty well prepared. The reason that I pair it with the Gore-Tex pants is, as I've showed you with most of this rain gear, when the rain hits you, it's going to run down, it's going to drop off, which is great. But as you're walking, it's dropping off the bottom part of whatever rain gear you're wearing, and it's getting your pants wet. And then if it's a heavy enough rain, it's going to get your socks wet, which is going to wick right down into your boots. No matter how waterproof they are, you're going to have wet feet. So with an outer layer of this poncho, I can put on the Gore-Tex pants, put them over top of the legs of the boots, which should be waterproofed, or galoshes, either one. And then the water will just run off me all the way down, and it works very well. So I really like that system. All right, well, it's been sprinkling, so here we are. Pack's back on, and it's time to head up the trail. So hope you've enjoyed this episode. Another little foray into how our ancestors stayed dry. That is when they stopped in time to get out of the rain. Sometimes they just got wet, but they did have different things that were available to them that we can still get today that work very, very well. So yes, they did have it dialed in. They had it figured out. Thanks a lot for watching. This is James Bender for WayPoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure and check out the links in the description box below, just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll find a link for our WayPoint Survival digital class. This is where you can train in the comfort and convenience of your own backyard the top 20 skills that we consider to be the most important from our Phase 1 Survival and Bushcraft class. You'll also find the link where you can sign up for our WayPoint Survival and Prepping 101 newsletter. You absolutely want to sign up for that. It's totally free for you, and it just helps us be able to stay in touch with you in case something happens to this platform. You'll also find the link where you can sign up for our WayPoint Survival in-person classes at our beautiful training facility here in Southern Ohio, and we'd love to have you in those classes. And when you do check that out, make sure and look up the required gear list. That's very important. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.